How you doing, everybody? This is Stevie Mack with Str8. Today is the first episode where we do something new. We have something known as Community Corner. We talk to brothers and sisters in the community, actually putting boots to the street, so to speak, and doing the good work. On that note, today we have Pastor Shamaine Byrd, the pastor of the Mack-Community Baptist Church in the heart of Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, do or die. But we ain't talking about do or die, we talk about living right. And we also have brother Sha Sawyer with us, who's affiliated with the group that Pastor Byrd has started, known as MenTalk. And we're gonna get to some of their views on how they've been helping brothers and sisters during this most interesting of times, if you will. How you doing, Pastor Byrd?
I'm well, and yourself, Steve?
I'm good. Now, I've had the pleasure of being, I'm a member of MenTalk. I've been at several meetings, and I always felt it odd that it was started by a female. But once I heard why you started it and the respect that you command for the men, it reminded me of how sisters always had to sometimes start the way. Rosa Parks had to start the way, right? Fannie Lou Hamer had to start the way. Even in the Nation of Islam, Mother Clara Muhammad had to start the way, right? And even biblically, we talk about the prophetess Deborah. She had to stir up a young man by the name of Barack, and I ain't talking about Obama.
That's right. That's right.
So break it down for us, Pastor Byrd. What was the inspiration for this group, if you will?
I think that I saw a need in our community for us to come together. In order for us to come together, we needed our men to take the lead. Men are not like women. Women will just start talking to anybody, anywhere. We'll start talking in the grocery store. We'll start talking at the, the supermarket, at the hair salon, wherever. Men tend to share information, but once the conversation stops, it stops. I think that I wanted to have a safe place for men to come, talk together, bond together, have a place where they could strategize, but most of all, where they could trust each other. Because I think that what happens is a lot of times when working toward a solution, we can identify the problem, but when it gets to the part where the solution is, there's a distrust. And where there's distrust, there's disconnect. So I wanted to have a safe environment where everybody knew that they had one common goal. We may come from different places. We may think differently, but our common goal is our community, and to make sure that it's secure and being a safe haven, as well as getting all the resources to be a viable community for generations to come.
All right, I salute you, Queen. I respect that. Now, brother Sha, I know Pastor Byrd for years, since I was a little boy, and I know she's a Baptist believing Christian, right? You yourself, you're a Muslim. But how are you able to work with a Christian in the community? What was that? What was the genesis for you? What drew you into this organization?
Well, as I mentioned earlier to you, two of my heroes growing up was Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, right? So I'm drawn from the principle that what Malcolm X once said, that they don't lynch you because you're Baptist or Muslim or Buddhist, right? They do what they do because you're black, right? And and then later on, and it's like when he came back from Mecca, he once said, put your religion to the side, put it in the closet, and come together on a common cause. So, that's kind of my motivation and impetus. And then, Pastor Byrd, I recognized in her someone who genuinely cares about the community, and she's not in it for publicity or nothing like that. She's trying to get the work done. So and then my organization is Inner City Tech, and one of the things in our mission statement is that we will work with individuals, organizations, agencies, whatever, to in a collaborative spirit to achieve the goals that we set out to do. So that that kind of was once the brother Talib, who couldn't make it, or Terrell, right? He right. So he he told me about Pastor Byrd, and then come to find out, there's quite a few people that I already know that are a part of MenTalk. So it was a good fit.
All right, thank you, brother Sha. Pastor Byrd. So
yes, sir.
I know and Brother Sha, all three of us, we were conversing about this before we got into the recording.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you could tell the listeners, the viewers out there that you've been working with? We know MenTalk has been working in the community for a mighty long time, but specifically, what are some of the things you have been doing in the organization during this COVID-19 and this pandemic, which at first it wasn't affecting our community, but now it seems we've become, quote unquote, the poster children of this pandemic. What has been some of the work that you and your organization have been engaged in?
Well, one of the things is food security. That's really where we've been working feverishly, is making sure that our seniors have food, have groceries. We've worked with other CBOs. We've worked with everybody to make sure that our seniors are first taken care of with groceries, food, meal prep, all of those things. And I think that that's where we've concentrated most of our time and our resources. We've also been there. A lot of people took a loss. And when we say that, our hearts go out to them, but we also, unfortunately, we've had to been the go-between with helping them with morticians, funeral arrangements, getting funds. And that's a thing that we're getting ready to do, because we had just started doing it before the pandemic came, about making sure our people have life insurance. And we're not talking about the aftercare and all that. We want to make sure that just your burial, you're taken care of and not a burden to your family that's remaining. So we've had to work through that, and that's one of the concerns. We have to work expeditiously in making sure that people have insurance, because that's one of the things that kind of stagnated us and so forth. And we found out that during this pandemic, helping people through that process, it became a little complexing. But the food, getting resources, and actually for those who are coping with mental issues during this time as well. That's where our three concentrated is about working to make sure food security, not only for our seniors, but for our community as a whole. We know we have grab and go at the schools. It was brought to my attention that certain school districts were having shortages. Some of the people, when we first started out, Brother Sha and I were going, because we were getting calls from seniors who said they did not have even PPE. They had nothing. And we worked feverishly to get those resources to them, and not only through somebody else, we hand delivered them. And we just ask that God cover us while we do the work. But mainly that's what we've been doing, making sure that people have food, groceries, that young mothers have things for their babies, infant milk, whatever they're going to use, the formula, things such as that matter that we took for granted prior to this time. But now it's really a necessity, and people don't know where a lot of our food is, where their food is coming from. Our pantry lines have gotten longer, and the need is more. And we believe that we might even see a more of a surge as time progresses. But that's where we are, and that's where we are.
Well, and this is definitely taking the ministry from the four walls, if you will, right? It's not just limited to a church or a synagogue or a masjid or a mosque, but we're taking it to the streets, or rather, you're taking it to the streets. You're feeding the hungry. You're clothing the naked. This is the mission of the gospel, and that's very powerful, and you should be commended for that. Brother Sha, I know you support Pastor Byrd. I know a lot of the work is also centered in Brooklyn, but I've also understand that you've also been engaged in work outside of Brooklyn. Can you elaborate on that? Like what have you been doing outside of the borough, the planet known as Brooklyn? What else have you been engaged in?
Yeah. So again, I have a nonprofit called Inner City Tech, right? And it's primarily tech training, tech-based nonprofit, right?
Gotcha.
But so when this hit, we got hit hard just as well as many other people. You know what I'm saying? Things slowed up, and so I've always been my own best soldier, right?
Yeah.
I got a team, but so I said, well, okay, you know what? We have a spot in Harlem called Legends Lounge on 7th Avenue between 145th and 146th Street.
Okay.
And so, what I did, I told my father, I said, well, listen, man, you still got to pay the rent anyway, right? But you can't do nothing more, right? Because things are shut down. So what we need to do is, turn this into a community asset, a community resource, right? And so, eventually when they seen the light of what I was saying, then I started reaching out to a couple of different people, and I got a food connect, and so we started doing it one day out of a week, and then that extended to 2 days to 3 days. So we usually do that 3 days a week. So now, usually, when I come up with ideas or whatever, I always do it with an eye towards how can it scale, how can we expand on it. So, and then I got a little bit of Brooklyn in me, Harlem, and South Jamaica, Queens. Those are the areas where I grew up in, right? So, I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna, now that the thing is established in Harlem, let me take it out. Let me come out here in Brooklyn and do something. And so, I was able to make a couple of connections. Brother Ricardo Lopez from Sun Sustainable United Neighborhoods at the Bushwick Generator, right? Yeah. He's the point man in Brooklyn for the World Central Kitchen.
Yeah.
And so, he started providing me, knowing what I've been doing. He started giving me some, food, and then also the brothers at a Collective Fair Catering, Chef Rodney, at the Brooklyn, the Brownsville Culinary Community Center. Then he started giving me some stuff. And so, once he had a little flow out in Brooklyn, then I said, okay, well, you know what? Let me go out to Queens and do something. And so I've been working with a couple of different pastors and churches and things like and individuals out there. A couple of people that's running for office, things of that nature. And that's pretty much where I'm at with.
Wow. I salute you both for the work that you've been doing, engaging, literally, not just, a lot of people like to theorize and offer ideas, and that's great. It starts with idea, but you have actually executing the ideas and is committed to the people. As we're about to wrap it up, because I know you're both busy, and I appreciate the call, and you take it as call, Pastor Byrd, and then I want to figure out, how can people support MenTalk? Like, is there something they got to sign up? What do you need from the community? And even Brother Sha, with your NPO, what can people do to support the community?
Well, first and foremost, it's funny that you would ask that, because that's the first time I've ever been asked that question. Because usually people just get on board and they come volunteer, they donate. But since before the pandemic, it was just at will, and the Lord always provided, because we don't do it for money. We are definitely a grassroots not-for-profit. Right. So what is happening is we do have a page on Facebook, on social media, where it's MenTalk Brooklyn, and they can go there and like the page, and as the things come up, they can donate their time, volunteer their time. We need a lot of manpower right now, more so than anything else. We need people that are committed to volunteering and hands-on. I think that we're going to set up a link where they can volunteer monetarily, but I think I want the people to be there, because a lot of people are homebound, or we're under the pause and stay at home. Right. A lot of people miss the human connect. Right. And so we need volunteers to even just make phone calls, to check on the seniors. We need people to make phone calls to make sure that those people that we do provide services to are still okay. Right. Because it's not over. It's far from being over. So, we have to have these things in place. And I think that that's what it is. Mostly we need volunteers to get the work done, to help with preparing, distributing food, phone banks to check on our seniors and such as that matter. Not so much the monetary, because it does take money, but we think that we know that we need them, and we need them to support us to legislators, our local officials. Just putting in an email or a shout out on social media is also good. It's good for morale. It's good to say that they're there to support us. But that's what we really need is people who are willing to volunteer more so than anything else.
More so, I copy. Brother Sha?
Yeah, okay, so in my situation, being that I'm kind of like all over the place, right? You know, sometimes and Pastor Byrd can attest to this, sometimes we run into the problem with getting drivers, right, to come pick the food up and then drop it off.
Yes.
And you know, so and I've ran into this in Harlem, Brooklyn, and in Queens. So you know, my Facebook is William Sha Sawyer, and my website is www.innercitytech.org. Okay, and a person can go on the website, check it out, see what we're doing, and they can hit the donate button. Right? There's always, you know, we're nonprofit. We've been like sort of self-funding things. We don't have any. We don't get paid for this. We don't have any government contracts. It's just, you know, a couple of people, different individuals. They see what I'm doing, and they, you know, try to help. And you know, again, we try to collaborate with everybody. You know, I'll say this. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once said that one should seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, even if it be unto China, right? Mm-hmm. And so, my understanding of that is that, you know, there's no monopoly on the truth, mm-hmm. right? And so, you know, coming from that paradigm, as I told you earlier, I work with anybody, right? And you know, I don't get into my focus is to work. I don't get into, you know, the religion or personal beliefs or nothing. Right. My thing is, listen, let's get the work done. How can we serve the communities? How can we have an impact? And that's pretty much the focus. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you know, nobody, at least I don't think that's a good perspective. Nobody gets into the nonprofit field with the intentions of getting rich. No. Right. And if you right. And if you are, this is the wrong field. You know, you have to have a passion for the people. You have to have a passion for what you do. Totally. And so, that's you know, that's pretty much the perspective that I'm coming from.
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Pastor Byrd, any upcoming events?
Well, we're getting ready to do an event, and our event is just simply we're meeting this. And what is it? Lincoln Terrace Park, 945, right now. Lincoln Terrace, that's Lincoln Terrace.
Lincoln Terrace Park, yep.
On the corner of Eastern Parkway and Buffalo. We're going to be there at 9:45 with the men, and at 10, we're going to invite some of the people, male and female, who are in the community who want to work feverishly to make sure our communities remain safe. As you know, we've got some other issues that are on the table, especially in the Brownsville area, but in all areas. But definitely in the Brownsville area, where the young people and the police, NYPD, New York Police Department, have some unresolved issues. They've got to come to the table, and that's what we're going to be addressing. The relationship between the community and NYPD. And I'm glad to say a shout out to Sergeant Patrick Gordon, who's also a part of MenTalk, who's also a part of us delivering the services and giving so much of his time. And he's a sergeant in NYPD. So we're concerned. And when we say about religion, it's just not different religions in MenTalk. It's all the way across. We have people who are NYPD. We have people who have turned their life around from being incarcerated for numerous years. We just have everybody, because guess what? At the end of the day, it's, as Sha said earlier, it's about this thing that we're in, the skin that we're in. The color makes us one. And that gives us the common goal to make sure that people that look like us are protected and protected by us. And so that's where we are. So our upcoming event is just coming out on Saturday to strategize on how we move forward in securing our communities and securing and making sure that everyone has everything that they need, because it's going to get worse before it gets better.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Byrd. I see Brother Terrell Muhammad of Mos 7C in East New York. He just joined us. How you doing, beloved?
I'm all right, family. Excuse me for being late.
No, don't worry about it, man. It's all a good time.
We took turns on that one. I was late first.
Brother Muhammad, I want to get to something that you, because we got a few minutes remaining before they cut us. I got the premium Zoom.
That's right.
I'm on the budget. We're gonna elevate through prayer,
okay.
Right? I gotta get this in, Brother Muhammad. You had mentioned something in our previous conversation about being prepared. Can you just touch on that real quick? You said something about that people need to be prepared. Can you share that, because it ties into what Brother Sawyer was saying and Pastor Byrd was saying?
Well, when you have situations of what they call extreme measures going down, families and communities have to be prepared, particularly in our community. Other communities have what you call food banks, communications, good hospitalization. In our communities, those things are not apparent. So we have to establish that during these times. And one of the first things, that's why I like to thank Sha, one of the first things that in the nation, what we do is we created in each of our households a food pantry. Regardless if there's something coming up, this is just what we call for a day of want and preparedness. So we always have like 90 days worth of food. But with this circumstances now, we've been ordered to stock up food for 6 months to a year.
Wow.
You know, because there's famine coming, pestilence, and then with famine and pestilence, and we have like around 40 million Americans out of work. So by, you know, June, July, August, there are going to be some crucial times in the summer. People are not going to have not only money to pay their mortgage or rent, but people are really going to be hungry for food. And then you're going to see a different behavior out of people for food.
Wow.
You know, people are going to really be fighting. You're going to see ex-bankers. You're going to see ex-businessmen fighting you for food. Okay? So understand that. Now, not just not talking about food. I'm talking about you might have militia groups that are against the United States government itself. They believe that the government is not following the Constitution. And in the Constitution, they take up the amendment where they can take up arms and create a militia.
The Second Amendment, right? Yeah.
And we have that now. We have militia groups that's protected under the Second Amendment. They're armed. And they're forcing their states to open up. Now, where do we stand at? You know, what decisions are we making? What agenda do we have? Being that no one's speaking for us and we have no agenda, the basic common sense things is to make sure that we have food, make sure that we have canned goods, electricity might go, power might go, make sure that we have what we call transistor radios, ham radios, make sure you got candles, make sure you got flashlights, make sure you got batteries, portable chargers, make sure you have a to-go bag where you have all your ID, your medication for 90 days, everything just in case. You might not be able to pack up anything. You might just have to grab a backpack and go. This is where we're at now. And I remember Katrina because I was down there, and people weren't prepared.
Yeah.
Literally. You know, when that water came, people couldn't even put shoes on.
Wow.
Seriously. So forget about get some food, let me get my to-go bag. People literally were running out with what they had on to save their lives.
Wow.
And we might be under them circumstances because we're getting convoluted messages. Our leaders don't have any information. When they do get it, it's lies. And we have to look at how the circumstances reveal all the inequalities that we have.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Really. And when we see all these inequalities, we have to make a decision now for ourselves. Like, you know something? We relied on government relied on others. You know something? We have to do something for ourselves now.
Yeah.
Because we can't afford to have this again.
Yeah.
We have to really show up all of the institutions that make up a community and a civilization. We have to.
And,
and this is what MenTalk is about. It's really about sacrificing. But I want us to be prepared for the upcoming months and years, because this is not going to go away. We're going to have more information coming.
Okay, good. Good.
You know, it's going to come down the pike. You know, get a first aid kit, get a good one.
Yeah.
You know, get all these things. Those of us that know what you call how to treat a trauma and know how to do what you call basic medical care, we're going to have to depend on them. You know, they're really going to be our frontline survivors and saviors, man.
Yeah. Let me just say this, brothers, sister, I feel, I just thank you all, committed brothers and committed sisters out there who's listening.
That's right.
That's right. They're done. I appreciate you. I salute you. And I hope people take the message and listen. We usually air this on Saturday, but I think the urgency, I think I'm going to put this out Thursday because I want people to support it on Saturday.
Thank God.
I don't know if we have, the time is the one thing that you can't get. You can get money.
Well,
that's right.
We can't do parts one.
What'd you say,
Dr. Steve, we can't do parts 1, 2, and 3 as long as you will allow us to have it as information would come. We could do a sequel.
Oh, please.
We good with that.
Please.
Because it's getting the information to our community.
Please.
And it's definitely. You got to educate them. And time is not of the essence. Everything has to be done expeditiously.
Yes.
And so that's what we're working on. We are going to be up and coming June 1st. Brother Sha and I just discussed this. We will be giving out food this Wednesday at 4:30. There will be food, produce, and canned goods given out at 1585 Fulton Street at 4:30. We don't care. We're going to collaborate with whoever we have to collaborate. Because at the end of the day, it's about the service and about the needs of our people being met. So that's where we go on Wednesday. We do go on, we do post on our pages, all the information we get all throughout the 5 boroughs, even outside of the 5 boroughs, because we have people on social media all over. We have MenTalk in Atlanta. They were supposed to be up and running by now, but the pandemic put a little stop to that.
That's Brother Keith Burrell.
That's right, Brother Keith Burrell. They're down with MenTalk Atlanta, and hopefully we'll have a MenTalk in all of our major cities where we are, so that we can look out for us. Because let me tell you, this pandemic should be a restart button in our community for us to be on top of our game.
Yes, sir.
We know it's going to be serious, but we need a restart. We need to grow our own food. We need to look into that.
I'm a farmer. I grew up on the farm. I'm a country boy. I know about dirt.
Right. Right. We have community gardens that
I know about dirt.
Now they're gonna be at need. You need to, if you don't do nothing but grow a plant, and I'm not talking about a marijuana plant. In your
That's right. That's right.
You got to grow something in order, and our co-op programs. We're gonna, that's gonna come into play, and we're gonna give out that information so we can all get on board and we can go together, because we're in it together. But we got to be willing to go to the next level together.
I love it. We love it. We got to have you back, all of you. Anytime, Doc. We got to get this information out. I thank you for your time. And we're in an emergency. So we got a SOS.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we also,
hey, brother,
go ahead, Brother Sha.
Let me ask you, would you send Pastor Byrd or Brother Terrell Muhammad the link so that, he want to, because I'm active on social page.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna edit it, and then I'm gonna hook it up, and you'll have that out Wednesday night, the latest.
Okay.
And I'll put it on YouTube.
I love to share everything.
And the Lord willing, inshallah, I'll get that out to you.
All right, brother.
You got my word, all right?
All right.
Brother, thank you all for tuning in. This has been Stevie Mack, Brother Terrell Muhammad, Brother Sha Sawyer, Pastor Byrd. We love y'all. Thank you. God bless.
Love you, brother.
God bless.
Peace and blessings.